But I could tell that his assistant was not used to somebody filming him eating, because she said nobody had ever filmed him eating before. So I was like, oh, should I maybe turn off the camera? Did I do something wrong? But he was like, no, keep rolling. He was fine with it.
I got pretty into like some later, more recent era Steven Seagal stuff, like 5-6 years ago. My friends and I would watch it because it was just so insanely bad. And then Dan sent me a link to the Cumtown guys talking about.
So I've been watching a shit ton of what I like to call the Entenmann's Donut Goatee Seagal era films.
Yeah, we watched one last night.
Anything post 2000.
Dude, let me suck off some coffee.
Probably 2011 or 12. When Above the Law came out, he was already like 34 years old.
Right.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't a young guy. So his first movie, he was already, like getting on. And you could see his hairline's fucked up in that movie. You know, it's all like thin, in the front. Mm-hmm. And then in Hard to Kill, his hairline's fixed. And, he's a little bit fatter. And he just got progressively fatter throughout his entire career. He's in his 60s.
His body sucks.
He's still making movies where it's like, we need to send our best special forces guy. And then he spends half the movie in a chair. He refuses to get up. Cover for Sniper Special Ops, they've just photoshopped his fat head on someone else's body.
Yes.
As poorly as they possibly could.
Man.
That's so
I love
awesome.
his fat head.
No, they fucking pump these movies out.
One of the funny things is, like, he's so old, and his special forces team that he assembles all has to be kind of his age, which means their commander has to be like 80. You know what I mean?
My God.
So they show the commander with a white mustache.
I don't have a good answer for you, sir. And what about the congressman? Why was he spared? Who the hell knows? Because I'm short.
That's
old as fuck.
That's hilarious. Tom Segura had a whole bit about Seagal.
Dude, I heard a story about him from someone who would know, and they said that like this super agent, like he was the personal trainer of this like super agent,
Michael Ovitz.
Yeah, and that he had a bet with another agent that he could make anybody famous. And they're like, well, how about your trainer? Like,
well, I guess the truth of the matter is that the president of Warner Brothers was a friend of mine, and he had been very interested in me as an actor for a long time. He felt that I was very charismatic and that I had a look.
That's the other fucking awesome thing too. The Seagal, in the like later films, where he doesn't even get up out of the chair. He just does the shit and throws down. People down.
Yeah,
they come at him and he just
He's eating a hot dog.
Get up.
When someone is an asshole in Hollywood, how do you handle it?
This reminds me of when we were in Cannes. We had Total Recall there. And Steven Seagal, who I'd been in this movie with, I was trying to talk to him about this scene, and he told me I was standing in his chi.
Oh.
And I was like, well, I'm unfamiliar with that. How big is your chi? I didn't know what the hell was happening. Anyway, so I was talking to Sven. Sven was Arnold Schwarzenegger's body double. And Steven Seagal came walking up. He's like, so what are you guys doing? Sven goes, we were just talking about what an asshole you are.
Okay, there's a writer that I know, and I won't mention his name, but he was meeting Steven Seagal for the rewrite, for the writing, potentially, for Under Siege 2. And he's waiting in there for 45 minutes. He's making him wait, sitting there by himself. Finally, Steven Seagal emerges, and he comes out, and he said, I just read the greatest script I've ever read in my life. He goes, really? Who wrote it? I did.
have you seen the clips of him in Belarus eating the carrots and stuff?
He's eating carrots?
There's a good, yeah, he's like hanging out with the president or dictator of Belarus, but it's amazing.
Jamie, find the older footage. Older footage.
This is
just eating carrots?
I'll watch this, kind of.
Look at the way he dresses on the...
Watch this.
Thank you.
It's so insane.
His hair is insane.
And of course, someone edited that, so he's like deep throating the carrot.
Oh yeah,
the notorious Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal. So, funny story. We're going to film again with Steven Seagal. So we're like, Steven Seagal is the good guy. He's going to come and catch us in, what is it called? The movie True Justice. True Justice 2.
through justice too.
Yeah, I did 3 days of acting, and then there was the day that I'm gonna fight the guy. Be careful, this guy. The first thing he's gonna do, he's like, hey, he's gonna shake your hand and hit you in the nuts, kick you in the nuts. That's it. He's like, oh, hey, were you wearing a cup? Pop. He's just gonna pop you in the nuts. That's the first thing he does. What? Yes, dude. Right? I'm like, oh shit. So I'm wearing a suit. Right? Why? Exactly. Why? Don't ever tell him your martial arts background. When he usually comes and meets people. Don't challenge him or like feel like he's challenged. Don't give him your martial arts background because he's gonna challenge every martial arts you've done. So they patted me under my suit. Full, dude, like almost full suit under my pad suit, under my suit. With a cup, hip, back, shoulder pads, elbow pads, knee pads. So I heard that the guy, Persian guy, kickboxer, really high level kickboxer, he's a stunt dude, had a fight in a fight scene with him the day before. The same day, and he beat the shit out of the guy. Steven
Seagal beat the shit out.
Yes, he went over the top to the point that they had to come and like grab Steven Seagal. Like, okay, we're done. The set is done. He's like, okay. Send the guy to the hospital. You throw him through that, he breaks the toilet, and he grabs his face, real mirror, and smashes his face to the mirror multiple times. Rear mirror. But all these guys, stunt guys, they sign waivers, right? So you're gonna do everything. Send the guy to the hospital, dude.
What I'm more curious about is, does he not realize he's filming a movie? Like,
you want to make it realistic.
You're supposed to be simulating movements. You want
to make it realistic.
Not actually making real contact with
He people. Does, though. He's like walking. It's like Steven Seagal. He walks in and his hand is on his belly. And he's like, oh. And there's like super weird 3 Japanese girls behind him. Like really young, teeny. And he's like just walking behind him and he's like, okay. Everybody's scared of him, dude.
I've heard the story many times. He instills fear
nobody's
on the sets of his movies.
Nobody's talking. The set is full of extras, lightmen, like everything, right?
What was the biggest disaster you witnessed? Were you there for Steven Seagal?
Yes.
You were?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh, for those who don't know, he is widely and unanimously, that's the same thing, right? Widely and unanimously considered close. The worst host in the history of SNL. And I hope he's not around to kick my ass. I think he's in Russia, so it's all good.
I have to defend him a little bit.
He's fucking there with Robert Kraft's Super Bowl ring.
I think maybe his 1-inch ponytail was too tight that night because...
Wait, you're defending him?
A little bit.
Why?
Only because... He was
you liked his ideas.
He was friendly enough to me. The only thing he did, which was he tightened up, which is a lot of hosts do. I don't know if you did it. I didn't do it. I threw up, but I didn't tighten up as far as you have to sort of trust these 30 people you don't know. You have to walk in and say...
100%.
A lot of people think we're there to make fun of them. And we're saying we respect you. If we're getting you on the show to host, we all want it to work.
Yep.
And if you make fun of yourself, this is where it gets tricky. If you make fun of yourself, it will benefit you. And we promise you. And if you don't, and you fight it so much, and that was him. He was too cool and had his image. And, like Stallone would come on, whoever would come on and they make fun of Rocky. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And then people go, oh, you're a human. You play so cool, but you can at least goof around and it's more relatable. He wouldn't do kung fu fighting as a cold open or a monologue. And it was like everybody was going. But we had it something funny. Then he throws in little kicks, It
would have been amazing.
It was amazing.
Because,
and then I think we walk up and get kicked and fall down. And so he says he'll do it, but he just talks it. It's still kind of funny, but he won't play it all. And then the other sketches he was fighting. A lot of people, you have to go through their people.
Rumors is you guys were on set. He said something to you. You walked over to him and said, yo, if you have anything to say, I'm right here.
Oh, no, that didn't happen.
Oh, okay. But something like that happened?
People make up rumors all the time. No, that never happened. One of the things, as Steven Seagal famously said, me and Jean-Claude are not martial artists. Which is, I think, made him look silly.
He said that about you?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really want to get into, on film anyway, who's a tough guy. Do I think Michael is a tough guy? No. Do I think he's a martial artist? No. Do I think Jean-Claude's a tough guy or martial artist? No.
No, but he hired me on 2 occasions. So if I'm not a martial artist, why would you hire me twice? Well, the problem I had when I really flared toward him is that he was hurting the stunt guy, who were nice people, but he would make it a point to like kind of even off camera do things like wrench their arms. He actually tore Nils's bicep for no reason. Just to, and you want me to do a martial art fight scene with you but I'm fighting on the side of racist white people in a country western bar in Alaska. And I said, why don't you throw a yarmulke on me? And one time he chopped James Liu in the throat for no freaking reason. And I just snapped. I have a little bit of a temper, but he apologized. He says, things got a little testy yesterday, long hours and all. And I was like, oh, okay. So I stayed on.
The weirdest moment of the trip was probably this scene with Steven Seagal, which happens in episode 3. We're in Bangkok. I'm in the hotel. I walk down past the restaurant and I see Steven Seagal having breakfast. I was like, that's Casey Ryback, and I believe he's eating breakfast in our hotel. I've got to go over and say something. So I went over and I was like, oh, can I get a selfie? And his manager was English and he was like, oh, this is Jack Whitehall. He's a comedian in the UK, Stephen. And Stephen was like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm filming this travel log. He was like, would you like me to be in it? And I was like,
he's a busy man.
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. And he was like, okay, I've got an idea. This will be really funny. I'm going to walk out of the hotel and you come up to me and you ask me this question and then just ask me this. And he asked me this thing about like, I needed to ask him what the essence of Zen was. So I was like, okay. And I went and told the producers, like, can you just go outside and film? Because I think Steven Seagal is about to come and do a joke on camera. So he walked out and I went, hello, Steven Seagal, I'm a fan of yours. What is the essence of Zen? And he threw me in a fountain. Because the essence of Zen is to submerge yourself in it. Now, yeah, hilarious. He didn't tell me that he was going to do that. He just threw me in a pond and then just walked off and got into his car and drove off without signing a release form or explaining what any of it meant.
And this is my dad. Daddy, I'm doing a show with my father.
Do you still call him Daddy?
Sorry?
Do you still call him Daddy?
Know that you're a Zen master. What is the essence of Zen?
Steven Seagal just threw me into a pond.
Is he just gone?
I was just going to shake his hand and thank him for it.
It was so surreal, and we all stood around like, what the hell just happened? I just got judo chopped by Casey Ryback into a fountain. And so then eventually they found him and managed to get him to sign the release form. So that element of it is in the show. And then, like, his manager was like, on the last day that we were there, he was like, do you want to have lunch with Steven Seagal? So I was like,
oh my God.
I've got to kind of see how this one ends, I guess. Like, yes.
Did you bring your dad?
I brought my dad. So me and my dad had lunch with Steven Seagal in this hotel in Bangkok. And it was exactly as weird as you would imagine me, my dad, and Steven Seagal having lunch would be.
How did your dad and Steven Seagal get along?
Apparently they have a mutual love of Winston Churchill. So they were talking about Winston Churchill, and he was like, Steven Seagal was like, oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of Winston Churchill, and my dad was like, I have a huge collection of Winston Churchill books, and they're like, and then they were talking, it was going really well, and Steven Seagal was like, I'm also a huge fan of Vladimir Putin, and my dad was like, I am not a fan of Vladimir Putin. I have no books on Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin.
And I'm free when I close my eyes. Help me wash away my sorrow.